We might not notice, but tremendous technology and mind-boggling science constantly surround us in the products we use every day. Behind their practical use lurk hidden histories, dramatic discoveries, and awesome experiments. They are wicked inventions. Coming up, umbrella, the ultimate rain protector that was actually invented for another purpose. Holograms. What is the connection between microscopes, lasers, and our favourite 3D images? Ultrasound. From submarine hunting to medical tool, we reveal the science that uses audio to see inside us. We reveal the surprising science and amazing manufacture behind these wicked inventions. The umbrella, a relatively simple folding canopy that protects us from the elements, whilst also doubling up as a handy fashion accessory. We know what they're for, but where did it all begin? And what role did an ancient Chinese man from the times of the Han Dynasty have to play in their creation?
Obviously we all know it as something to keep us dry in a rainstorm, but interestingly umbrellas first developed for protection from the sun.
All written records point to Wang Mang, a Chinese official from way back in the year 21 AD. It is said that he had a collapsible canopy designed and built onto a ceremonial carriage that would protect him from the elements, rain or shine. The rest of the world wasn't far behind though, and there are early records in ancient Persian art that depict parasols as commonplace. These parasols work in much the same way as an umbrella. Aside from that, they shield from the sun rather than the rain. These parasols could also be found in ancient Greece and were considered an indispensable item of ladies' fashion. It seems then that the first umbrellas actually appeared in drier countries, mainly acting as a sun shield. So, what about the wetter areas of the world? It took a little longer for Northern Europe to catch up on the idea of umbrellas. In the Middle Ages, it was much more common to use a heavy raincoat as protection. It was not until the 17th century that umbrellas began being popularised in countries such as England. This, perhaps by no coincidence, was also at the time when diplomats and traders from Asia and warmer climates began journeying to Europe, bringing their fashion ideas along with them. Suddenly, people could be seen using parasols and umbrellas throughout Europe, though it was often an accessory for the wealthy, with many images depicting servants and aides holding umbrellas for their distinguished lords and ladies. From here, the designs of umbrellas were tweaked and adjusted until the first lightweight umbrella was introduced in 1710 in Paris.
And again, it was the evolution of materials and the Industrial Revolution, improvements in the steel that could make up what we now use in umbrella, and the plastics as well in the 20th century. It all went through to sort of this evolution from something an ancient Greek woman would use for sun protection through to what everyone would have in their handbag or to walk around the street with.
The cheaper materials used combined with a much lighter design meant umbrella sales boomed and became much more widely used across the world. Today the umbrella is as prominent as ever, with all kinds of shapes, sizes and designs on offer, giving users ample choice, allowing them to tackle the weather in style. But how are they actually made? With over a century of history, Fox Umbrellas are a world leader in the manufacturing of umbrellas and take extreme care in ensuring every umbrella that they make is of the highest quality.
We're a small family-run business. We employ 22 members of staff. Some of the benefits of owning a Fox umbrella is you're getting a quality handmade product that's made in the UK. So if you take one of our solid umbrellas, they're made from one continuous piece of wood. The springs are made by hand, so there's a lot of hand stitching required on those umbrellas. So you really are getting a quality product from start to finish that's taken many hours to make.
Today, they produce these handmade rain shields from their factory in Surrey in the south of England. The production process begins with the choosing of the umbrella stick. Once the correct stick has been chosen, it is marked up to the measurements of the specific customer. Markings are also made for the best placement of the umbrella springs. The stick is then cut down to size and grooves are cut for the springs. At At this point, the tip of the wood is also shaped, ready for the ferrule. The ferrule is the metal tip of the umbrella and will be fitted later in the production process. The new cuts for the springs are then cleaned and the wood is stained. Once the stick is stained, it is drilled to fit the spring. Now we have a prepared stick. The metal for the springs is then shaped. Before being fitted to the stick and adjusted a little more in order for them to run smoothly. At this point, the springs can be pinned into place.
So the process of making a Fox umbrella has changed very little over the years. To reach the standard we require for our customers, it's necessary to rely on the skill of our hand workers.
It is now time to add the opening mechanism of the umbrella. The runner, a little piece that allows for the umbrella to be smoothly opened and closed, is fitted and then the frame is built onto the umbrella. The top notch of the umbrella is the part that stays fixed to the top of the stick. Once everything is in place, this is also pinned to the stick. Each of the ribs of the umbrella's skeletal frame are sealed into place in order to protect the joints.
So umbrellas have developed over hundreds of years. Originally they would have used whalebone for the ribs of the umbrellas. Nowadays we use steel ribs, which came in the 1900s.
We now have one complete umbrella skeleton. Next up, it's time for that all-important waterproof cover. This integral part of the umbrella is made out of nylon fabric, which is precisely measured using a template and skillfully cut to size. Each of the freshly cut panels are then machine sewn together.
We were the first umbrella manufacturer to use nylon. We was introduced to this wonderful material called nylon during the Second World War when we were making parachute flares for the military. Apart from that, umbrellas have changed very little. The shape, the style, the actual construction hasn't changed that much. It's just the materials used in the manufacturing that have changed.
From here, the tips of the umbrella, which is what the metal rib will fit into, is attached to the cover. A nylon rosette is then sewn around the inside of the frame on the runner. This rosette hides any metal joins, protects fingers, and also looks quite fancy. The cover is then attached to the frame, with careful precision in the sewing, ensuring that the umbrella is totally waterproof. The umbrella is then ironed to a lovely smooth finish before being rolled up. Once it has been rolled up, the outside rosette is attached, adding a lovely flourish. Remember the ferrule? This can now be fitted to the ready side stick, as well as the open cap. We're on to the finishing touches now. The gold collar of the umbrella is cut, shaped and fitted securely to the stick, just above the curved handle. Finally, the fabric casing of the umbrella is then slipped into place. And voila! Ready to protect the fashion-conscious world from the elements.
So we make around 25,000 umbrellas per year. Each piece takes quite a while to make.
The umbrella. Truly a wicked invention. They might seem the stuff of science fiction, but holograms have become part of everyday life. Open your purse or wallet and you're likely to find a holographic 3D image emblazoned onto your credit card or even adorning the cash in your pocket. But how are these ghostly pictures made? The method for creating holograms dates back to 1947, when Hungarian physicist Denis Gabor unexpectedly came across the technique while trying to improve the electron microscope's performance. Gabor's pioneering work with electrons was actually ahead of its time, and it wouldn't be until the 1960s that the familiar light-based optical holograms that we recognise today could be developed. This was due to the fact that the creation of an hologram needed high-precision light that could only be provided by using the newly invented lasers.
Once we had the lasers in place, the initial holograms were such that you would shine layers of light onto them to create the hologram onto the material, which is like a film. But in order to view them, you'd need yet another laser in order to show them, and even then you'd have to be standing behind the picture. So the laser strikes the picture, you stand behind the picture in order to be able to see the hologram in the first place. So it's not very practical. Most people don't have access to lasers that can deal with infrared or ultraviolet or other particular levels of light. And so without being able to see it in the visible light, a mass production of holograms was not possible.
So, what in fact is a hologram, and what makes it so different to a photo? At its most basic level, a photo is a visual representation of a scene or object. This is achieved by light from the sun or your flash reflecting off an object, and some of this bounced or scattered light enters your camera via its lens, where it hits a digital sensor or light-sensitive film that records the light's intensity and colour. This information can then be reproduced to create a flat two-dimensional image. The big difference between this image and an hologram is that an hologram captures an additional property of light called the phase, which gives an hologram the 3D edge. The phase is related to the distance that light travels, in this case from the object to the camera. Holograms can be created in a variety of ways, but the common principle is that a laser beam is split into two using a half mirror. Both beams pass through lenses that change the beam from a narrow stream to a wide swathe of light. One beam bounces off the object that you wish to capture and hits the light-sensitive film or medium. The other beam hits a mirror which reflects it directly onto the film. This beam is used as a reference, and the information that creates the hologram is actually the interference pattern produced by the two laser beams hitting the film.
If you look at the picture of an hologram up close, what you'll see is lots of dark spots, lots of light spots, and lots of squiggly lines. You're capturing on there, the lasers have interfered with each other, and some of the parts will be full interference, so there's more of an intensity at one spot, and some of them will be complete destructive interference, so there'll be nothing there. And what you're capturing is different levels of light at that point from different angles.
These holograms are known as transmission holograms and are viewed by shining a laser behind the hologram through the interference pattern, which recreates the light that bounced off the object. And voila, the image magically appears. This means that unlike a photo, which captures a visual representation of a scene, a hologram is capturing the actual light itself, which means that when an hologram is displayed, you can actually see it as a three-dimensional object, with the view changing as we move around it, which is known as a parallax effect.
Now, because an hologram records everything that it saw at the point when it was being exposed, it means that as you rotate the hologram, you'll see different angles, because each portion of the hologram has recorded different angles, as well as the angle that if you're looking straight on at it. Which means that if you want to, you can actually record different holograms at different angles on the same system. So as you move past an hologram, you'll see it in 3 dimensions, and you'll be able to see it moving as you move around it.
The holograms we see on credit cards and concert tickets are a little different to the transmission type. These holograms are known as reflective holograms and can be viewed without the need of an additional laser, with natural light bouncing off their surface instead. They are usually mass-produced from a master hologram by stamping the interference pattern onto a metallic foil, and are especially useful for combating forgery.
Holograms are difficult to forge, primarily because the equipment needed to make them are very expensive. The other problem is, in order to create an hologram that has exact replicas, you need the original master hologram in order to create it, because you need to be able to read the very fine details of the hologram from many angles in order to record the light field as it is, in order to transpose it and then be able to re-record it elsewhere. We with our eyes can immediately distinguish that as a genuine hologram, and you can say, this is exactly what it should be doing from different angles, this is the genuine article.
The uses for holograms seem to keep on growing, with high-capacity hologram storage being touted as the next evolution of the optical storage solutions pioneered by the CD. The hologram, truly a wicked invention. Can we turn your smartphone into a hologram projector? We're going to need 2 old CD cases, some craft paper, sticky tape, scissors, a pen, a craft knife, and your smartphone. We create a paper template and use this to produce 4 identical flat top triangles out of the CD cases. They are taped together to create a plastic pyramid. We take our smartphone and visit an extremely popular video hosting site where we navigate to a hologram video, which is comprised of 4 identical images all playing at the same time. place your pyramid upside down onto the centre of your smartphone screen, turn down your lights, and press play. And there you go, a holographic image forms in the pyramid right before your very eyes. So, how does this magic work? Well, for a start, this is not a true hologram, but actually an optical illusion called Pepper's Ghost, which has been known about for hundreds of years. This is the theatrical term given to an image or scene reflecting in glass placed at 45 degrees, which creates the illusion that the image is floating in the space in front of the audience. Using this technique across 4 sides fools the brain into believing a true 3D scene is appearing in the space in the centre of the pyramid. Can we turn your smartphone into a hologram projector? Yes, we can. Wicked challenge smashed. Ultrasound scans are always a proud moment for parents, as they're given the opportunity to see their new baby for the first time. But how did the submarine battles of World War II link with these scanners, and what is it about bats that inspired their development? The science of sounds, otherwise known as acoustics, dates way back as far as the days of Pythagoras in the 6th century BC, as he wrote about the mathematical properties of stringed instruments. Although we have long known that audible sound has these mathematical properties, it is the sounds the human ear can't pick up where things really get interesting. These sounds are ultrasound. Bats are a great example of using ultrasonic sound. Their use of echolocation, whereby they produce sounds out of the human hearing range in order to locate prey and obstacles even in the darkest of caves. This technique is mimicked in sonar technologies, developed in World War II by the Allies in order to detect German U-boats that were ready to attack.
Submarines posed a huge threat in both the First World War and the Second World War. Countering the submarine was vital, and the first part of that was a means of detecting. Initially started off called ASDIC, and really it was the use of sound waves, or what sonar, as it became later called, to detect large underwater metal objects like submarines in the wartime.
As an object moves through water, it vibrates and creates sound pressure waves that alternatively compress and decompress the water molecules in the sea as the sound wave travels through the water. These waves radiate away from the object like ripples on the surface of a pond, and can even bounce off nearby objects and reflect back to the original source. Early, passive sonar devices just listened for these sound waves, but scientists soon developed active sonar, where a ship could transmit an acoustic signal into the sea, and if a submarine was in its path, the sound would bounce off the submarine and return an echo to the sonar device. By determining the time between the emission of the sound signal and its reception, the device could determine the range and orientation of the object, and the ship could then attack. This method of using sound waves to detect objects is the same principle used in today's ultrasound scanners. Ultrasound is, by definition, sound that is above 20 kHz in frequency, way out of the detectable range of the human ear. The higher the frequency, the smaller the object that can be detected.
Obviously now ultrasound's gone way beyond just medical uses. They use it to look at integrity of metals, especially in industry. Also you can use it in geology to look at different structures underneath the earth to see if you can find any archaeological finds.
The ultrasound machines used in medicine use handheld scanners called transducers. Crystals in the transducer send high-frequency sound waves to the body and detect the return echoes. A computer processes this information and produces a real-time moving image of the inside of the body. These scanners were not commonly used in medicine until the 1970s, but have now become fundamental to the childbirth experience. Not only do they give a better image, they were proved to be much safer than the X-rays that had been used previously. Because of ultrasound, doctors can even detect any problems or defects with the child before it is even born.
Also, you can use it to help image the heart. You can see the flow of blood going around the heart and how efficiently the muscle is contracting and pushing the blood out of the heart, as well as looking at the anatomy and the integrity of the valves, for instance, within the heart.
Who would have thought submarines and pregnancy had so much in common? But how are ultrasounds actually made? The production of an ultrasound machine begins with the system assembly. Using an electric lift that makes it easier for the operator to access all of the relevant parts of the machine, the high-level assembly materials, such as the control panels, monitor and mainframe, are assembled together to form the finished ultrasound machine. The mainframe includes imaging electronics that sends electrical pulses to a transducer. The transducer receives echoes back from the body or object being scanned and turns these into electrical signals, which are then converted to an ultrasound image which is displayed on the monitor.
Transducer emits that frequency above the threshold of human hearing. So this emits into the body reflected wave that computer can calculate the size and shape and density of the tissue and organ. And then we can measure the velocity of our blood flow as well.
The ultrasound machine then undergoes an aging test in a specially designed aging room. The temperature is controlled in this room and stays at a very warm 38 degrees centigrade. This allows the machine to be heat stress tested. This is important because it ensures the machine can work in a wide range of environments and climates when it is shipped worldwide. A hardware diagnostic test is then carried out. The results will show voltage and signal distribution to each board of the machine. The aging process takes up to 18 hours, and once this is completed, the machine then moves on to a system function test. Here, the input and output functions of the monitor display and control panel are tested, as well as all of the mechanical moving parts of the ultrasound machine.
We are testing all the things that control panel is properly working, or monitor movement, and all the images that appear properly.
With the system function test completed, it is time for the configuration of the ultrasound machine. Here, optional items specific to each customer's orders are installed to the system. These optional items include peripheral devices such as printers, software licenses and power cords. The covers and labels are then attached before the power voltage and necessary language for the customer is configured. That isn't the end of the testing though. Ultrasound machines are continually tested, ensuring that they can perform the very important tasks they will have to carry out, both efficiently and accurately. The next test is the safety test, where the electrical safety of the ultrasound machine is analysed. The final test for the machine is the CRST test, otherwise known as the clinically relevant simulation testing. The CRST test essentially puts the ultrasound in as near to a real-world situation as possible, simulating how a physician or sonographer will use the machine. Now that the machine has passed all tests, it is prepared for delivery by packing the product and accessories before being sent to customers worldwide.
Annually that we produce thousands of ultrasound systems, and in a rapid initial assessment of the patients, it's really successful.
Ultrasound, truly a wicked invention. So, there you have it, a dash through the hidden history, super science and amazing manufacture of products that you use every day but have never realised their amazing backgrounds. Umbrella, holograms and ultrasound, all wicked inventions.